to the Digital Signage Today podcast presented by Networld Media Group. I'm Daniel Brown, editor at Digital Signage Today. Today we're joined by Julian Arcila. Julian, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Of course, Daniel. Yes, I'm Julian Arcila. I'm the managing director for creative realities for Latin America.
Excellent. Welcome aboard. You've been a busy guy. It's so good to see you again. And I think this is a relatively new position for you. So congratulations.
Yes, Daniel. So great to see you again. And yes, you're right. This is a pretty new position. I've been on the job for 2 months. Can tell has been really exciting.
That's awesome. And I was really excited to talk to you about this because we've been covering for, I think, about 2 years. There are so many cool emerging markets in our industry, but we've covered kind of a digital signage renaissance, if you will, starting in Mexico, I think. It's a booming market. And I was like, gosh, we've got to talk to Julian, find out what's going on, because there's a huge expansion. Can you tell us a little bit of background there?
Yeah, well, definitely. Since digital signage is part of this digital transformation trend, is definitely booming in Mexico. But I can tell you that digital signage isn't really new in Mexico. You know, some of the most important retail brands have been implementing digital signage solutions for, I can tell, more than 10 years. So it's not something new. The retail market is pretty advanced in terms of what they want to implement there. There may be, opportunities to improve technology, hardware, software, but the idea, the concept is there. So, but I can tell you, there are different markets that are really investing and considering implementing signage as a way to engage with consumers, with brands, and with consumers and buyers, and also to communicate in a more efficient and agile way.
Okay. That's amazing. Well, and I'll tell you, that's very helpful because I think still in the digital signage industry in America, a lot of the publications, a lot of the industry figures, we tend to think in terms of what's happening in the U.S., Canada, maybe Europe, the United Kingdom. But it's a huge world that's ever growing. And I'm curious, is it the retail? Which sectors are really, really big right now? What are you focusing on?
Well, CRI as a corporation is pretty strong in the QSR market, retail, convenience stores. We have, expertise in sports and entertainments, the automotive and dealership environment. So we have a pretty wide, history of applications. And we're planning to do pretty much the same and develop pretty much the same markets in Mexico for us. We see, I mentioned retail, but retail and hospitality could be thought as somehow mature markets in Mexico. Those are the markets that have been leading the implementation of signage, but we see tremendous opportunity in in QSR, convenience stores. We've seen interesting applications in stadiums.
Okay.
One interesting thing in Mexico is that many of the soccer clubs from the Liga MX own their stadiums, and there's an opportunity there to start rethinking the engagement and the relationship soccer clubs develop with their fans. But we see also implementations in airports. So I can tell you, definitely Mexico is a market where many verticals are eager to implement digital signage as a way to transform the way they communicate with their audiences.
That's amazing. And I'm curious with this sort of development and growth. Are there some unique challenges that you've faced in expanding? Are there some unique benefits? What's different here in this market?
What's unique in Mexico? Well, from the positive perspective, Mexico is a highly populated country. They have,
Hmm.
more than 130 million inhabitants. They have big cities. They are one of the top touristic destinations in Latin America, and many, they receive a lot of nomads after the pandemic. So it creates like the perfect environment to communicate, to launch promotions, to innovate. There's another thing about Mexicans, and this is something that is common in Latin America, but we Latin Americans, we love going out to eat, dining out. And
Can I
one,
just say I admire that very much? I love that mindset. I share it.
yeah, is and when you go to Latin America, or when you go to Mexico, you will see something very different to what you see in the US. You see that here in the US, we go to a shopping mall, and shopping is the main reason why we go to a shopping mall. In Latin America, is the opposite. In Latin America, dining, eating, having family entertainment is the main reason why we go to a shopping mall. So the difference when you see a shopping mall in Mexico compared to a shopping mall in the US, you will see that in Mexico you have these enormous, huge structures that have, in some cases, 4 or 5 floors, like
Wow.
with, yes, and you can see in some cases, that one floor is dedicated to entertainment. In one floor you will have cinemas and family and games for the little kids, and level 3, 2 and 1 are for purchasing, and you have huge, enormous food courts. So that's I think that's an opportunity for growth for the digital signage in Mexico, and that's something unique and different to what we see in the US. And always, the limitation,
Hmm.
I think we'll say, is the lack of knowledge. The Even when it's a market with you know important implementations, important digital signage project, there is still room to grow. And it's important, for the brands, for retailers, for the different actors in the market to understand what are the real benefits of digital signage,
Hmm.
how digital signage can impact the lives of buyers in so many different ways, since providing, unique immersive experiences, reduce frustration because they go to a store, and they see a promo that is not longer valid, but that creates frustration. And one of the things that I find when I go to Mexico, in the areas where you see like a large amount of stores, you will see the stores are
Hmm.
always crowded.
Hmm.
So you have to wait, a little, some important time, to be served, to pay. And I was thinking about this, the last time I was in Mexico a couple of weeks ago. And when you implement signage as a way, to transmit important information, to entertain the buyers, and to create a different experience while they wait, that's something that we see an opportunity. And unfortunately, uh, or fortunately, uh, the market still needs to realize that the real
Hmm.
power of signage.
Oh yeah, you're describing a perfect captive audience, right? At the point of sale in retail, which, by the way, we were talking to. Oh gosh, I think it was it Ori Moore at YCharts. There's lots of research coming out. This is where people make the most buying decisions, right? At the brick and mortar point of sale. And you've described another thing that I love so much, that this is an experiential environment where it's not just sales, it's a whole experience. And I think the entire market, our digital signage industry worldwide, is realizing if you can harness that and reach people and give them that full-fledged experience and add value, and don't make them feel like you're using them as a captive audience, the potential is virtually limitless. And digital signage is the perfect medium for reaching there. It's very unique in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that sometimes as vendors or actors, players in an industry, we forget how to give back. And if you think digital signage is a way to give back to the consumer, because you can provide so many different things from the concept of information, entertainment, and education while they're doing the things they love to do and they visit the spaces they love to visit.
Hmm.
So at the same time, it's not, as you pointed very well, it's not only a way, to use them as a captive audience, but it's also, okay, how, now that I have you here, how can enhance your experience?
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I love that. Do you have, and obviously we don't want you giving all your secret sauce to your competitors, but do you have some general advice maybe for even just retailers, strategists, media folks, whomever? What are some good strategies for hitting folks where they live and entertaining them and really getting your message across? Like, what are some winning strategies in your opinion?
Well, I feel one key thing is understanding your audience. Always is understanding, that we're living in a time reduced era. So how can you
Mm-hmm.
provide the best information in the shortest way or in the shortest time possible? So that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing. The also, um, as I pointed earlier, one of the things that you as a consumer don't want to experience is frustration. So when you go to a store and you spend large amounts of time like waiting for a product just to find out that they don't have any more existences. So thinking about how to integrate digital signage with other areas of the business to provide accurate and on-time information, that's another good practice.
And that's where having good software is so important, right?
Yes, and it is how you connect different areas, to provide, to ensure that you're providing your consumers, your buyers, the right information at the right time. Also, in Latin America, one of the things is that I just talked about those huge shopping malls. So uh, another good practice is how expanding the use of wayfinding to help
Hmm.
consumers, visitors to know where they're
Yes.
going, how to get to the destination they want. Um, but
Thank you for that,
also,
by the way. Can I just say I visit a lot of malls because I enjoy the experience, and every single mall I freaking go to in my area, the digital signage is down. The maps are all down. It says, it has the error message was just black. There's no screen. So thank you. You're so right.
and that's another point. When you think a good practice is always conducting regular maintenance, make sure that your systems are working as intended because nobody likes to see a blue or black screen. Nobody likes to see that. Like, regardless the application you're looking at, because if you're waiting to buy, um, you're a fast food restaurant.
I do the fat food.
I've done it too, and I love it. So if you're going to a QSR restaurant and you want to order something, but suddenly there's a black display there, like showing no information, and that's frustrating. So always I feel like the good practice is thinking how you can improve the experience of those people visiting you, going to your store. And there's one thing, Daniel. Great experience means different things for different businesses. So it's not a unique recipe here, but it's always keep your consumer in mind and think how you can connect and use the technology to help and serve them in the best way possible.
I love that. We were just talking to, I think, it was Chris at Omnifex recently. We had a great chat, but he made the point, yeah, it's a high-tech industry we're all in, but at the end of the day, it really is the people that are at the center, the human side.
And as we've discussed, Daniel, something very important is how you can provide value. Because sometimes we think, okay, I'm going to install this display here because I want to bump my buyers with promos. But is there a way that we can also share other types of information that will help them? For example, weather information, like combining, hey, just be careful. There will be, rain or extreme heat when you get out. Just be mindful. You can continue. We can never forget that digital signage is a communication medium. So as any communication medium, you have to think about how entertainment, education, and information, education, and entertainment, basically. But also always thinking about your user.
I love that. I love that. El aspecto humano es central, ¿no?
Totalmente.
I love that. I love that. We'll have to when we have more.
I didn't know what to say. If answering in English or Spanish, like that's great, man. You got me there.
You've got Portuguese as well. I'm very jealous. So next time we'll have to chat in Portuguese. I'll have to study up. And like I say, if we weren't up against a hard time limit, we'll maybe next time we'll break out the Portuguese. I love that. I love that.
Podemos falar pouquinho de português também.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds amazing. Yes. Well, Julian, thank you so much for making time to join us here today. And I hope you'll come back again to tell us about your adventures expanding throughout the LATAM market, starting in Mexico.
Yeah. More than happy.
Absolutely. Well, listen, this has been the Digital Signage Today podcast presented by Networld Media Group. Please remember to like and subscribe for new episodes. We've got some great content coming up this fall and winter. And again, Julian, thanks so much. And hopefully we'll chat again very soon.
Daniel, thank you very much for having me. For those of you who want to know more about CRI, just feel free, to visit us at CRI.com. Also, if you want to engage with me on LinkedIn, it's pretty simple. Julian Arcila Marketing, like Julian Arcila MKT as in marketing. So you will find me there. More than happy to connect with everybody. Daniel, this has been a great experience. Thank you for having me. And anything you need, I'm here for you.
Awesome. I love it. And in the meantime, I'm going to go find some fat food.
If you find some, let me know where and I'll go.
Awesome.